Let's make an opera cake. I just received the text. Welcome to the semi-final week, the most challenging bake yet, inspired by the Great British Bake Off Technical Challenge. You're making a perfect gâteau opera or opera cake. Of course it has to be really bougie and fancy. You have to really be careful of the layers and be extremely accurate. We want to see perfection. It is patisserie week after all. Your opera cake should have 8 layers of joconde sponge.
Make the joconde.
Coffee, crème ou beurre. So crème ou beurre. Crème and beurre we've done before. I feel like I'm really confident about that. A dark chocolate ganache, and singing is optional. Hell nah. You have 2 hours and 45 minutes to complete this challenge. Not only is the method light on instructions, but you also have no measurements for the coffee elements, meaning you'll need to work out how much is just right. Can't make things too easy in the semi-final. Good luck. Now that's my cue to get started. Now the ganache is fairly straightforward. It's just heating up the cream and the butter and then letting the dark chocolate sit into it before stirring, making a shiny ganache. Now the almond dough is a very strange one. It's a first for me. However, you're going to be separating some of the sugar and saving that later on for the egg whites, stirring in the 4 eggs and the butter. Now I don't know whether that part is important in terms of the order, but this is how I did it. Now the next part is really quite interesting. You're gonna basically making soft peak egg whites or meringue essentially. I'm gonna literally look so buff after this challenge, I swear to you, man. One Popeye arm. Boom! You know for a damn fact that no one in this competition will be doing it by hand. So all I ask is for you guys to like, comment, subscribe, click on the bell for more notification for videos like this. This is the perfect texture we're looking for here. Stiff enough to hold, but nice to fold in with your almond mixture. And you're just folding this in to create a light batter. I bet you can't do this on a KitchenAid. Whoop. Boop. 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 Okay, slightly coming away from the instructions here, I don't own a pan that's 23 by 17. If you do, then good, but if you don't, you can create a much larger layer of cake, cutting into it to make the size. Now, I would tap it and level it out before cooking it so that we have a level layer of almond cake. You're going to be baking this around about 11 minutes. Around about 180-190 degrees, and it should come out nice and light and brown. It shouldn't be golden. Yeah, not many brown spots, but it should lift. And should have lifted around the side. That's how we know it's going to be cooked. It's good to touch. I'm happy with that. Yeah, this is not opening. Anyway, but we're going to be working with this. It's so expensive, dude. Like, I don't understand. The syrup. Start with boiling the water and the sugar until it combines really well. I think it's a half. This is a simple syrup, and simple syrup is already very sweet, right? And I honestly think there's only half of this, so half a teaspoon is all I'm going for, because that's too much. Okay, half a teaspoon is all I'm going for here. Yeah, look how strong that is. I'm not too sure if this is the correct measurement of coffee essence, but have a look. Yeah. I don't know what it's meant to taste like, but I'm going to turn out the cake onto a drying rack to let it cool off, but also to help me assess how thick the sponge is as well. And surprisingly, fairly thick. Let go. Please don't let go. Oh, did it work? Oh, it did. Oh my god, it did. Look how clean that was. Woo! That was a super clean pan. Oh, the satisfying part. Let's unveil her. Okay, moving on to the next part is the French buttercream. Yeah. Now, top tip here is to cream the butter before adding it to your eggy mixture, just to help it not split. Now that I have your attention, I would love if you guys can comment the baguette emoji to let me know that you've come this far. You guys are a true star baker. Thank you for watching, and please continue watching because it really does help me out. Permission to say oh cock. This is not an easy challenge. Clearly, because nothing has gone wrong so far. Anyway, we're going to start with the creaming the egg yolks. Really important to do this step actually. Not to show off, we're going to be moving on to creating the sugar syrup that goes into the egg yolk. Now you're going to be combining the sugar and the water into a rolling boil, nothing too crazy, but we're going to be adding this to the eggs. Sugar syrup is going in, it's still very hot. So, from the height. Now that bit is extremely important because you don't want to cook the eggs. At the same time, you don't want it to crystallize in mid-air, creating lumps. And then you're going to be combining the butter to thicken. And just like that. And no, this is not a Sex and the City reference. Yeah. I knew something would mess up today. I just didn't know what. I don't know what to do now. Can't just do normal buttercream, can we? Damn it. Oh, there's always something. Yeah, that's annoying. To fix this, so what I'm gonna do is warm up the butter. I'm gonna do this, add a bit to your bowl, heat it up in the microwave for a couple of seconds. I'd say around about like 10 seconds or something, and then we'll go from there. Okay, so it should look like that. Now it's properly thingy. Maybe not using a metal bowl would have been great. So on to our next guessing game. We need to know how much of this we need to use. I decided to go for 2 whole teaspoons instead of 1.5. Oh, that's a lot. Okay, I don't know if this sets in the fridge, but I think I made it wrong. Oh well, I knew this wasn't going to be the case anyway. In the meantime, I've split this into 3 equally. I'm not really sure what it's meant to look like, but as we're not working with acetate, I have to do a very good job at fixing all the ingredients so that they're perfectly like at the right temperature, so that when we do layer them and stack them, they look like the best they can look like. No guarantees though, of course. Okay, so this is one of those hear me out moments, okay? So this is an old bin that has rainwater, and because we're currently experiencing like an Arctic freeze right now, I've got ice, which means I can try and thicken this. Ooh. Oh, my socks is wet. Okay, so, and it's cold enough for me to work with it. Sometimes my ingenious is to my discredit because my feet are cold.
My genius.
I'm gonna go melt this and then we'll stack it. Okay, working with no acetate, we're gonna have to be much more clever about it. We're gonna have to use the freezer to our advantage. So, I'm gonna put this down first. This is going to be our base layer. I'm going to put this chocolate on first. So I'm going to let this cool in the freezer for a bit. Do that. Whilst we wait, I'm going to start with making the glucose and cream mixture ready for the glaze. Sugar in this dessert, jeez. Mint. Merde. Glucose, which does not sound appetizing. And I need, do this for a second, 20 grams. Yes. Right, heat that up. Now that this is frozen, you wouldn't have known that it wasn't in acetate, but it's still lined. Da-ding! Perfect. Oh. Right. Brush on this syrup. believe. That's syrup, and then we have to put it back into the freezer with the ganache on. I don't know if the ganache is very spreadable, which is really a good thing because we have nothing else to support this with. More imaginary acetate situation. It's quite a lot. I think that's about half. I think that's about half. Palette knife. We can push this around without going to the edges. Oh my god, I've had an amazing idea. Pause. Amazing idea. Right. So I don't have acetate, right? But what do I have? It's a bread cutter. So if I did put it to the edges, it would look like that.
Sometimes my genius is... it's almost frightening.
It isn't bad. Oh, I just spilled all of this, but well. It's not the most porous cake. Okay, so we have some time on our hands, which basically leaves me with some time to actually mess around. Because of the waiting period between each freeze, it takes a lot of time. It eats into a lot of time as well. Now, I love opera, so does James actually, and it's one of the most iconic arias there is, and it's literally this bit. Okay, moving on. Get back to the bake. Okay, so this should be hardened. Yeah. Oh, I just gotta drop some cream. I'm just gonna work with the cream, guys. Don't even look at it. It's so disgusting. I hate buttercream. Round 2. Who needs acetate? Who? Who needed it? You know? Acetate who? You don't need acetate. You just need brains. Done. Give me a round of applause, a standing ovation with that acetate. Yeah. Have you guys ever wondered what it truly looks like at the Great British Bake Off tent? Because there's so much dishes, like, everywhere. I can't even explain it. Okay, the glaze. Now just heat up that cream mixture that we made earlier, and then we can start focusing adding the last layers to this cake. Now the final part was the cream. I actually fixed it up a slightly more so you don't see it splitting too much and it starts to combine together as it should. Now the difficult thing here is that when the cream sets in the freezer, it gives you a very limited window to start layering, so don't let it warm up. Now the glaze is just a combination of the cream mixture and the chocolate. It's quite a thick glaze to my surprise, so act quickly because it sets very quickly. It's helpful if you're in the summer, not so much when you're in the Arctic cold winter, so act quickly. Okay, I've never glazed in my life, and I know this is not meant to be thin. Oh, that looks so luxurious. As I said, it thickens up really quickly, so you can see here that the glaze doesn't move whatsoever without a bit of gravity and force. So I'm just using the bread chopper here to get that nice sharp edges. However, there is a trick that's mentioned on the instructions that specifically requires a hot knife, and what you're doing is just trimming the edges to showcase those layers without the chocolate or the glaze smudging against one another. It's quite an interesting technique, I must admit. Okay, the hot knife technique works. One side I'm not keen on, but I'm really chuffed with this. This is now the end result of the opera cake. I can't deny that it's not going to be, it's like, that side is probably the most perfect, I admit. Yeah, I think so. This side's probably the most perfect. Honestly, probably one of the most stressfulest thing I've ever made in my entire life. Like, what the hell? How comes this is so stressful? Anyway, I'm not going to eat into this. I'm going to let my family tap into it. I can't bear to look at this, like, now be desecrated by everyone. But I did get some scraps, so here it goes. Do you know what? Interesting. Not particularly my favourite. The coffee essence or extract. That's a really interesting part. So for the syrup, I did like half because it was really strong, like half to 3/4 of a teaspoon, because it's really strong. Like, I don't know why, like it tastes like Starbucks burnt coffee. I know that's a really rogue comment, but that's what it smells and tastes like. And then for the actual cream, I went around about 2 teaspoons. I don't really know the measurements. They don't give it to you, hence the challenge. Honestly, would I ever make this again? Hell no. I've never even seen it in the supermarket to buy. So what I would suggest you guys is try it out in a restaurant or cafe. If you're ever in France, England, London, wherever they sell it. Ooh. And it's so dark, I'm having to use like external lights to get this best side of me. Let me know in the comments down below if you've enjoyed today's episode, but also have you tried this recipe? Let me know if there's any tips and tricks to this. Acetate would be helpful, the right cake bottom would be helpful. However, if I have shown you guys anything, it is possible without the fancy tools. You don't need a fancy mix either. You've got your own arms, they will do it. I just don't think it's going to be that patisserie Valerie sort of level of perfection. However, it's doable. I think it's doable. It looks amazing. I'm really proud of it. Thank you guys for watching this far. This is the penultimate week. We've got one more of this. You guys are the true star bakers. I'm going to love you and leave you. Mwah. And the chocolate's settled at the bottom. It's like nighttime already. I really don't like winter for that reason. It's like 3:30 and it's this late and dark.